All right, we're live. We are live, and nobody's here yet. Boom, boom, boom. This is going to be a very disappointing, disappointing reveal of the speakers because I don't know where everybody is. Ah, there's Nick. Hi, Nick.
Hello.
You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Good. Hello. It's just us, Nick. I think Frank is
Oh,
on the way. Brom is supposed to be on coming as well, but it's a bit. We'll get there. We'll get there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Home Assistant release party of Home Assistant Release 2023.1. Um, yeah, it's a new year. It's kind of wild. It was supposed to be a small release because it's holidays and people are off, and it's smaller than normal. I mean that's for sure. But I think we still managed to pump out 800 commits. So I have my screen share. This is it was just merged 14 minutes ago. So the reason Frank is not here yet is because he just wrapped up the release, and from the release, now he has to like get ready for the stream. He will be there. 65 people have contributed this time. It's pretty impressive. There Frank is coming in. And let's see. Frank, you there?
Work?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, you made it.
I had to run like hell.
Good.
Sorry I'm late, by the way.
No worries. We were just getting started. I just said it was supposed to be a smaller release, but it isn't really.
No, it ain't.
I
Oh,
mean,
I
that's
got
the
to the break.
irony. Like, we're like, a bunch of us is taking a break, and the other people are having holidays, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna automate my house. I'm gonna work on Home Assistant.
I mean, everybody has
Yeah.
time to actually write code because they're not at work.
Exactly, exactly. I actually also did a bunch of home automation in my house. I set up my Matter light switch, and yeah, set up some Bluetooth stuff. Still not my toothbrush is still not integrated.
You
Yeah,
wanted that integration so bad, and you haven't integrated your toothbrush yet?
I mean, well, yeah, no. I
it's the
mean, I like,
easiest thing in the world too. Like
yeah.
you just turn it on.
That's true.
No,
That's
but
true.
I think that the toothbrush is just great for showing off what we can do, and yeah,
I
Yeah.
got kind of the same thing. I really want to play like Benny Hill in the bathroom as soon as you stop brushing. I think that would be really cool to have like a pump up music to like, and it's a perfect length too. So it's kind of nice. Yeah.
great. So, happy New Year, everybody!
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
2023. It's gonna be a great year. At least that's our plan. So it's going kind of while we're like looking at like growth statistics, and it's like getting bigger and more intense every year. So I'm not sure if we can like mentally handle that. But yeah, we'll see.
Each
We'll
year
see.
is different. It's still like impressive, but it's different. It's kind of nice, actually. Looking back at last year, it was different again.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
cool.
I think so. The upcoming year is going to be different again as
Again.
well,
Yeah.
right? I
True.
think last year the big thing was like we were adding Bluetooth support. It was like, I mean, just like as new protocols that kind of landed, and then at the end of last year we dropped Matter, but now Matter will become more mature, of course, over the over this year. We have a great video in the release notes. I'm not sure if you saw it. There's been a lot of Matter
I
effort.
have uploaded it to StreamYard, so we can show it actually
Oh, should
in a
we show
minute.
it? So this
You want
is.
to talk about Matter?
I mean, let's just
Yeah,
talk about Matter, right? Like
we're
it's
talking about Matter. Let's talk about Matter. So, the video.
There is still no widely available Matter device that you can buy. So hey, it's been a month.
The Eve are
best thing.
available.
Sorry?
The Eve ones.
No. So you need. This is the Eve one.
Yeah.
You need to be invited to their. I was invited to their test flight.
Oh.
Apple, the iPhone app, and then it can push a firmware update to these devices, and then it will over Bluetooth. I think it does that, and then it shows up as a Matter device, or not shows up, but actually, it's kind of interesting because these devices they are HomeKit devices that you upgrade to Matter devices. So they have a HomeKit sticker which is now worthless. And they have you generate a new Matter sticker that you have to store somewhere. Then you have to prove to the app that you stored it by scanning it with the app again. Because otherwise, if you lose that sticker, you cannot pair it anymore. Because where with Zigbee, you can like press a button and you can pair stuff. With Matter, you need to have that code. So that's going to be interesting.
So if you lose that sticker and then your device becomes useless?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
I've already made a useless one that I screwed up because I didn't bother to write it down.
Yeah.
Oh, that
it's
would help me. That's
I mean
good
it's
to
not
know.
100% useless. You can still like press this small button to like turn it on and off, but
But you could still use it via the other protocols, right? Or is it purely Matter at that point?
no. So you upgrade it, the HomeKit stuff is gone.
Oh,
Because it's a Thread device and there's only this one protocol over Thread.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would not recommend upgrading your Eve devices yet. I think I kind of regret doing the ones I'm no longer actually using for production.
Yeah. Now there's a question from Geoffrey. Yes, it works now. I think the biggest thing that was limiting was that attestation wasn't working, so we didn't have the Eve certificates. That has been addressed. You still have to do the commissioning either through Android or through if your Home Assistant server has access to Bluetooth. So on a Raspberry Pi 4, for example, the iOS app is in progress, and we've seen it work. I think from the Home app you can share your Matter devices. I haven't tried that myself yet, but that should also work. But yeah, I would keep them on HomeKit for now, though. Like it's still the wild wild west. I feel a bit with Matter. But
Growing pains.
we have a cool video though. So for the iOS app, we're still running into some issues where we get a different PIN code back from Apple than we expect, and that's not so somehow we cannot finish the commissioning when it's launched through the Home Assistant app. But we have this working for Joris, got this working for Android. So shall we just play this video? It's like a minute, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So this is the Android app.
Yeah, this is a recording of the Android app on an Android device then, of course. So you can go to the Matter panel by, clicking configure on the Matter config entry. Then this is very much like beta, but the commission device with mobile app, this opens a Google thing, right? This is a Google UI. This is, powered by Google as it shows in the bottom. You scan a QR code. What happens now is that your phone is setting up it's first configuring the device to connect to, in this case, to Wi-Fi. It automatically gets the Wi-Fi credentials and Thread credentials as it's known to your phone. This is a big thing, right? So it doesn't, like if your phone is connected to Wi-Fi, I think that's the Wi-Fi that's being sent over. Your phone's Thread credentials, that is also the ones that will be sent over to a Matter device. We are still working on getting all the Thread going. I'll talk about it after this video. Here you can see device connected. You click on done, and then boom, you're back in Home Assistant at that device that was just added. And so in this case, what you see, it's a ESP32 by Nabukasa. So this is our example application that we have made available. So yeah, this is how it's gonna work. which is it's cool. So it seems pretty. Oh, is it replaying? I'm just going.
No, I'm doing that. I
Oh,
was like
sorry. Oh, did you want to
looking
show?
at the. There's like a button panel. Okay, if I can push it back.
Yeah.
If you go to the settings and then to the button configure, it's going to Matter and then configure, and then it shows this panel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and this is
That's
very
what-
much just a development panel. So this is actually a good moment to maybe talk about Thread. So last release, we launched experimental support for Home Assistant Yellow and Sky Connect to run Zigbee and Thread at the same time. And then like 2 weeks later, we had to pull that support. And because we realized that there was the Silicon Labs Zigbee driver that is like part of this setup to run two protocols at the same time, had a bug that would allow, I mean, basically it's devices that are directly connected to the Zigbee chip and not through the mesh network would end up losing connection to the network and being kicked out. So that means that the Zigbee driver had a worse stability than like the normal Zigbee driver. So we decided to not make it like easily accessible to people. You can still try it out if you want, but we haven't fully wrapped up the Thread side of things. So what's happening right now is that it will start a Thread border router on your Home Assistant Yellow or via Sky Connect, but it doesn't integrate yet into Matter easily. So we want to also get that going, and we expect that to going hopefully for the February release. So things are in progress. We've able to upstream some fixes that we needed from the Thread border router, so that's everything is getting into place. Nick is dropping out temporarily because he's setting up a demo. He just told me, so I'm just. Yeah. Frank,
He's adding a demo.
Yeah, he's setting
Cool.
up a demo.
Oh,
But I don't know what's
I
going.
like demos.
But yeah, for Matter, CES is happening right now.
Yeah.
We expect a lot of devices to announce Matter stuff. I just saw one from SwitchBot. SwitchBot is, of course, a manufacturer making a lot of Bluetooth devices that nowadays integrate natively into Home Assistant. This release again adding logs, a few more supported types, but they're actually releasing a Matter bridge. So what does it mean? This means that they will talk Bluetooth to their own devices and exposing them over Matter. So it will be easy to integrate any SwitchBot device into Matter. However, it does mean that their Bluetooth bridge needs to be close to their Bluetooth devices. So we've seen that with Home Assistant, and the reason we're doing a lot of Bluetooth proxy so you can like widen your Bluetooth range is because, well, Bluetooth doesn't have a lot of range. Actually, if this is the first time you hear about our Bluetooth proxies, I'm just gonna quickly whip up the website.
Oh, let's
You
do
know.
that.
Some people might have missed this. Last year, we launched Bluetooth proxies, which allows Home Assistant to talk through ESP Home, that's running on ESP32 devices, to talk to Bluetooth devices across your house. So you can greatly expand your network. And this is something that Nick has been spending a lot of time on building out and perfecting. And you can actually, you know, when you have an ESP32, which is a microcontroller that you can buy for like $6 or euros, more or less. I mean, if you go from AliExpress, you can go even cheaper, I think. You can just turn those devices into Bluetooth proxies and it will just work with Home Assistant. So through this wizard. So yeah, if you haven't tried it yet, it's really cool. You'll find a lot of Bluetooth stuff in your surrounding, probably more than you thought there were. So it's cool.
I think my mail delivery guy has one of those iBeacons. Somehow, every time around that time the packages get delivered, my Home Assistant picks something up, which is actually pretty cool because I could use the automate on it. I haven't tried to make it like a notification at this point yet, like a ding dong and package here, maybe something. It seems like they have an iBeacon in their fan.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because they can use that, like if they track all the fans at the place where they store them, right? They can see which ones
Maybe.
got returned.
Yeah, or which one is docked maybe or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes very much sense. All right. Should we dive into the release a bit? I'm not sure what Nick will be presenting or showing or demoing. It's
Yeah, no,
probably
let's just jump
Bluetooth
into the
related.
release.
Let's just, okay. Well, that was my, and I hit the wrong button, but that's okay. Let me scroll up. There we go. Happy New Year of the Voice.
Yeah,
Yes, it is, right?
it is.
So let's start with the Year of the Voice.
Yeah. So this is something we announced during our State of the Open Home in November. However, it was part of our 3-hour live stream, so I wouldn't blame people if they hadn't watched the full 3 hours. So we actually published at the end of December a recap of our announcement, and it's saying like what's going to be our plan for next year, and it's going to be the year of the voice. And so we have the goal, and it is an ambitious goal, I would say, is that we want Home Assistant users to be able to control Home Assistant in their own language, with their own voice. So what does that mean? It means that you should be able to turn on lights, turn off lights, set temperature, ask what a sensor is, using your voice. And so this is kind of an ambitious goal. And so kind of the way we see it is that like we're going to limit the scope. So we're going to very much limit the commands. A lot of people have the idea of voice assistant, really like I can ask anything in the world. I can be able to, query Wikipedia, ask who's the president of the United States, these kind of things, tell jokes. That's not the plan. We really are just like, hey, given like 10 commands, different types of commands of turning things on, opening things, closing things, locking things, can we make that work in as many languages as possible? So that's the plan. And which languages are we want to support? All the languages that Home Assistant also has support for in the UI. So that's basically every language that people are willing to contribute. And so we're building this up in small steps. And to help us build this out, we've actually hired Mike Hansen. He is the founder of Raspberry. Raspberry is an open source voice assistant framework. It originally built as a Home Assistant add-on, later became standalone, still working with Home Assistant, but also with other systems. And Mike has always been the goal of trying to integrate as many voices as possible. He has like thousands of dollars worth of video cards in his house to train all the different models for like text to speech, speech to text, these kind of things. And so together with his Raspberry community, he's already been like able to achieve a lot. Having him help us out is going to be great because his knowledge and expertise will come in very handy. And yeah, so we're starting off very small. And so the first step is really we want to, voice assistants, really kind of the core of a voice assistant is called intent. So what is the intention when you say something? What is the intention of what you're saying, your command, right? So basically convert spoken language as text into like a command that Home Assistant can understand. And so we actually started out building this now with the Home Assistant community since our announcements. A lot of people have joined us. I'm going to actually see if I can find the overview page. I made like a...
I got it. So it's linked in the...
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, so we basically, all the green rows are languages where we have at least one or two sentences that we understand per intent. On the top, you see the different intents, turn on, turn off. Light set is to change the brightness or the color specifically. Open cover, close cover, set temperature, get temperature. So yeah, we can see there's a few languages that already are ready to be used. And so our first step is going to be to just allow you to type text into Home Assistant. This is not live yet. These intents are not integrated into Home Assistant yet. That's also coming in February. We're actually going to plan a separate voice event, I think probably closer to the next release, just to kind of give an update, because there's been a lot of people interested in this, a lot of people want to follow this, and the release parties are great, but this is like a mix and match of like stuff in the release, matter, whatever. So if we want to just talk straight up about voice for like an hour, that should probably be a different stream. We'll get Mike also on the stream then.
Yeah.
So yeah. If people are missing their languages in this list, that's because no one has contributed any language yet. If you have a language that you want to see, then yeah, you can like join us on Discord. We have a dev voice channel, or join us on the repository on GitHub, and we can help you get started.
Yeah, all of this is linked in the release notes in like the main descriptions.
So I think that a lot of people are hoping that we are going to have a voice assistant by like March or something. But
Yeah.
it's gonna take a long while. I think there's a lot of challenges. Like there's in the open source world, there's a lot of models for speech to text, text to speech, but the big problem is getting the resources to run those local, right? So we want to make sure that we build out flexible. So Home Assistant has speech to text, text to speech integrations. You know, people want to run maybe these models locally, maybe they run it on a server, maybe they want to use a cloud API to do these kind of things. I think we're not locking anything down as usual, and we're just going to see how much can we get, you know, just people to use it. Our really goal is to get people to start using the intents as soon as possible, because then they can actually see value of the contributions that are being done there.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions in the chat right now, like which hardware do I need? And we don't know. We're not there yet. Right?
That's another thing about voice, is that just doing speech to text and then parsing text into intent, that is kind of an easier part. The more difficult part is that you're in a room, and somewhere in that room is a microphone listening for what you're saying for a hot word, and then after that hot word, start listening and isolating your voice. And if you are listening to like music, not listen to what the music is saying, but listen to what the person is saying. That, I think, is going to be the most difficult challenge that we're going to face. Just having a microphone in front of you, sure, you can give commands. Like if I was like, you know, going to talk in this microphone when I'm talking to you now, that's going to be easy. But, you know, having all that other stuff being filtered out, that is like important. So. Yeah, I see somebody asking about Google Coral. I mean, that is definitely like things like TensorFlow, PyTorch. These are the frameworks to run machine learning are going to be very important. The challenge that we're having, of course, is that speech to text is a machine learning model. Text to speech is a different model. Voice isolation is a different model. Hot word detection is a different model. There's a lot of different pieces that need to run. So, you know, it's pretty impressive the things they are able to put into like a Google Home Mini and make it work as good as it does.
By the way, there's something on this list that we might give a shout out to as well, which is the leader column.
Yeah, so the reason we have leaders for languages is that we need, you know, every language needs to have somebody that reviews contributions for a specific language, and they need to speak that language. So, yeah, I mean, I speak English, I speak Dutch, and other things I would not feel comfortable in like reviewing, for example. And so what we're having is that we have this, people can apply to be language leaders. We're still kind of, we have some sort of process, but it still needs to kind of be, you know, be matured a little bit more. But basically people need to like contribute some sentences to show that they, you know how it works. And then we can kind of build out from there. And these language leaders will be responsible for reviewing contributions in that language.
So there are still positions open for that, but there are also places where people already applied and already have a language leader. For example, for Dutch, we have the Vas, which he's pretty well known in our community. But if somebody wants to help out him with the Dutch one, or if you can help somebody else out with an existing language, that's welcome too, right? It's not just a single leader position that's free there, but we would love to see at least one person being able to help out with a specific language.
Yeah, and I think that in the end, like we need, you know, anyone can contribute like to the sentences, right? It's just the language leader is gonna approve and merge.
Yeah. So for all of this we discussed right now, the Year of the Voice, and by the way, always so great that all the bigger media has actually reported on this, like The Verge and Ars Technica. There were really great articles to read, by the way. So that's a great success to see. There's definitely many people are interested in this. But everything that we're going to do, or at least, about what we discussed just yet, is in the blog post, and that can link to all the places that you need to go if you're interested in helping out or becoming a language leader or just browsing. That's cool too. Help would be really much appreciated. And otherwise, join the Discord, and there's the voice channel, the Deaf Voices channel, where you can go and can discuss this too.
Right. And so we're still building out like the very basics. So yeah, just patience. This it's not gonna be.
So the first focus is just chatting, right?
Yeah.
Writing, like putting text into a dialogue, and that will respond correctly, and
Yeah.
understanding the intent you have with the thing you're writing.
Yeah. Well, we have some tricks up our sleeve to make that more appealing, but we'll get to that
Okay.
on the next
No
on the,
spoilers.
the voice call.
Darn. No spoilers there. Okay. So there is something in this release that is related to voice. So the first little thing for all the year of the voice has been dropped in this release already, which is entity aliases.
Yeah.
You want to fill up on that, Paulus?
Yeah. So this is like there's many different ways people refer to the same device. Sometimes you don't want to say, hey, this is just the left light, but maybe you're from a different, I don't know, some people call it the garden light, or there's many different, like maybe people refer to the object the light shines on, maybe people refer to the light the object stands on, or these kind of things, right? I think outside dining, picnic table are great examples. Different languages are also great examples. We see that you maybe have your UI in Dutch and they give it Dutch names, but maybe you also want to talk to an English voice assistant, so you want to give it also an English name. So with aliases, this is possible. And so the one that is where this is being used today is actually Google Assistant. If you use Google Assistant with Home Assistant, it supports aliases, so it supports sending us that we provide different names, and Google will make sure it gets mapped to the right entities. And so this previously was possible only through YAML in the Google Assistant or cloud configurations, and now it's in the UI. So this is great. You can just easily tune this, and of course, once we launch our voice assistant, it's also going to use these aliases.
Yeah, this is actually a screenshot from my system. In my case, I use Google Assistant. I've configured it for both Dutch and English because I like to use the English terms, but my family prefers Dutch, especially the kids, right? So in this case, the screenshot shows the vacuum cleaner, which is stofzuiger in Dutch. And because I entered it as an alias, it will just recognize it too. So I can just now say, hey, not going to say it. It'll start the woonkamer stofzuiger. That will just work. And it will respond in Dutch at that point too, if it recognizes you're talking Dutch, which is kind of cool, actually. So this is really helpful. As you mentioned, it's exposed in two different places. So one is if you go to the entity, you open the entity more info dialog, you can go to the settings tab, and in the advanced settings sections, there's now aliases, which you can then add and manage. But if you're a subscriber to Home Assistant Cloud, there's also that management panel, which was in the second screenshot, where you can decide which device you want to expose to Home Assistant, to Google Assistant or not. And in that same panel, you can also manage the aliases of that specific entity, which is great. So there are two places you can go, which both manage the same aliases, by the way. If you're using the YAML configuration for this at this point, that will still work. It will not be replaced because those are specific for Google Assistant, while the new aliases are a UI control that are used by other parts of the system too. So they can coexist. But yeah, if you prefer the UI, you can now just click and add some aliases, which I think is pretty great. This is the largest part of my YAML configuration, actually, at this point, besides automations.
It's always nice to do like this cleanup where like now we can just drop more YAML.
Yeah, but it's just so easy. Click on it and add some, right?
Yeah.
And that's just nice, I think. There was a lot of questions during the beta about this, Paulus, which is, does this work for Google for she who shall not be named from the other like shopping?
Amazon. No,
Yes.
so Amazon doesn't support aliases. At least last time I checked. Maybe if somebody is correcting us and links to the documentation, then like, hey, they support aliases, we'll add it. But yeah, the last time I checked, they did not.
Yep.
Which is a pity, right? And then some people have suggested like, hey, why don't you just expose the device 5 times under each alias?
Yeah. How does
then
it work? There's skills, right, and such, which you can make your own automations.
Yeah, but then
something?
like then your UI in Alexa is going to be, Madame A is going to be completely wild. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay, that I understand. So aliases.
We're going to add aliases to areas as well. I don't know. Did it land in this release?
The like the technical details are there, like it's implemented in the background, but there's no UI for it because there's no use for it yet either.
That is true.
So we did it expose because it isn't used, but indeed for the future there will be aliases for areas too. For the new voice stuff that we're working on, areas are a thing. But for Google Assistant, I believe it's not. Like there's just one single area you can expose on each entity, and there are no aliases for that. It's the room, I believe it's called in Google Assistant.
Oh, yeah, Rosemary says she would love aliases for people as well. I guess you do that. People are entities.
People are entities, so you can.
Girls are also entities.
Yeah.
So that should actually work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Don't use Qt on all of them. That doesn't work.
Yeah, we don't have an intent yet to like control people, like send a notification, nudge or something.
Or where
is? That's actually, the open-ended intents are also open-ended. Sentence speech to text is also very hard. Right? It's easier to have the sentences we expect known in advance.
Right. Well, Jan is actually saying, oh, UI scrolled. I checked. Alexa doesn't support aliases. So
yeah, good.
Unfortunately.
That is, yeah. It's surprising, right? Like they've been around for so long. It doesn't seem like a too difficult feature given that it's also in, you have to learn how to match on names anyway. But I guess it is only a benefit for devices that are being pushed into Amazon and not like the ones they have themselves, right? Because I don't think in Google you can add aliases for lights they control.
I don't know.
I never really use the UI.
Me neither. Yeah, on my hub sometimes.
Oh yeah.
I got one of these hub displays on my desk, and
my hubs are in a box here for when I'm debugging Google Local SDK, which by the way is broken. I don't know if people saw something a release at Google made it so it no longer works. So local delivery of Google Assistant commands is currently not working. So everything is going through the cloud. It adds around like half a second latency or something, I checked, but it should also be fixed again. Like we didn't break it, and it will be fixed for us. So
I see a couple of questions of people asking, like, I don't see the update yet. That's true, because the reason I was like 2-3 minutes late in the stream is because I was still releasing. The release is building right now, so it should be done after the stream. Well, even before the stream ends, if it's okay. So I will notify if it's done. Got a window open, looking at it.
So I have the screen up here if you want. Look, if people are interested, you can actually go to our GitHub repository. You can see it's building. The first step. Like every Home Assistant release, we still build for all the different versions of that we built for. So 32-bit, 64-bit, x86, and then like different versions of Raspberry Pis. Older versions are all supported. So we're building all those base images. and then we have to build for the actual specific machine. So, we have every
12 or 16 or so.
yeah, something like that. So like Raspberry Pi 4, Raspberry Pi 3, Raspberry Pi 2. These is all different jobs, all different builds that have to happen. But it happens luckily all automatically in the cloud now. It used to be that Pascal had this closet full of like
Yeah.
remote agents with devices that were building like every build. So
A release took 8 hours to ship. It's like just the build process was just insane. I remember those days. That was incredible. Here's a patch release 8 hours later. Yeah. Well, I'm happy this builds, and now it's so automatically right now.
yeah.
Rarely have to interfere there. All right.
Right. Somebody's saying that my volume is low. I put my microphone a little bit closer.
Yeah, somebody said mine was high, so I put it
Yeah, it's
down
one
a
or the
bit.
other, of course. Well, Nick is muted, so maybe Nick is the. Like,
Yeah, hopefully that's better. I adjusted a little bit. I dropped off for a minute to prepare a demo of a couple items. So
which technology are you demoing?
Yeah.
I've got a SwitchBot lock here, and I have a reflashed Bluetooth proxy, and I actually have one. This one I'll show a little bit later is the Atom U. I don't know if,
I like that one a lot.
yeah, this is really easy because you can just kind of shove it into whatever USB charger you have, and if you go to the ESP Home proxy site, let me put that up real quick.
That stick that Nick just showed, that is just an ESP32 with a USB-A output. So it's not a USB drive. It's literally just it's microcontroller. So you put it in your computer, you can install it, but it really just needs electricity and it will Bluetooth proxy stuff.
So it'll actually flash. This is the one that like is on the site, but you can actually flash this guy with the same image and it will work just fine. So very, very similar device, just kind of a different form factor, but makes it really easy to just kind of shove it in the back of whatever computer or extra USB charger you just have sitting around the house. So and it has a small antenna inside of it as well. So you can make a Bluetooth proxy out of it just as quickly.
And they're cheap, right? I think $12.50.
Yeah, I think it was about $12. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we've been working a lot on the ESP proxies. The response time and the latency is just way better. So if you haven't reflashed with the 2022-12 or later, make sure you do so with the serial console so that the partition table gets updated. Your Bluetooth connect times will go from 5 to 10 seconds to 1 second for most devices. So much better. I can actually show the SwitchBot lock. Let me see if I have.
Yeah, 1 second, Nick. Andy is asking like, where can we find that the M5 stack with the USB-A? But it's called, what's the name again?
This is the Atom U.
Oh, the Atom U.
Atom U.
So it's on the M5 stack website. So
you can
if you go to the Bluetooth proxy website, select the middle one, you get to their website. This is the Atom Lite, and then
there you go.
Yeah.
This guy.
So it's a nice one.
All right, let me show the SwitchBot lock while I have. It's gonna see
Nick,
some.
Anthony is saying that awesome Bluetooth development is his new favorite protocol.
It was also the #1 feature by Lewis in his video. He did like a recap of the year, the 10 favorite features of last year, and Bluetooth was his favorite. So that's kind of amazing.
As this is a live demo, my lock is now unavailable because I've been reworking the ESP Home protocol because it wasn't really performant enough. So let's see if I can get this guy to reconnect because I think I may have bumped it when I let's see. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah. So this guy is our proxy, and I'm going to be very careful to hold it up and not bump it again.
I'm gonna see if I can make you bigger. 1 second. Where's the? Yeah. No,
This
why
is
does it?
this is the
Just
lock.
drag them in it.
You,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see I've not even taken the plastic off, but it's linked, and hopefully you can see both. But I can hit unlock, and it's pretty quick. So
But can you put it on the other side of your face because you're exactly behind? Yeah.
is that
Then
better?
turn it around 180 degrees. I think,
Is that-
yeah, like that.
Okay, there we go. Lock.
That's fast.
Very,
Like,
and that's using this little guy as the proxy, and it's running the API for it's not I haven't merged that PR yet, but it's going to decrease the latency by about 40% of
wow.
when it does come in. So that'll be in next month's release actually. So, but when I started playing with it, the Wi-Fi ones they just weren't really fast. So I deployed everything in my house with Ethernet, which was pretty solid. But now the Ethernet ones are faster, and the Wi-Fi ones will be faster next month. So.
That's awesome. Here, there's one question by TCAS to say, when you say update ESP Home through the serial console, you mean to not do it over the air? Can you elaborate a bit why that is?
So when you plug it into your computer and flash it over the cable, it's going to rewrite the partition table. So you'll have a bigger NVS storage. So whenever you connect to a device, it's going to cache the services on the flash of the actual ESP device. So next time you connect, you don't have to go resolve all the services again. If you're using Arduino, the old partition table is really small, so it could only cache about like 10 devices. So you'll probably be okay if you only have 10 devices, but if you have 30 SwitchBot curtains, which people do, you might want to reflash it with the serial so you get a larger partition to save more of the services.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
So if you haven't looked at the Bluetooth integration docs recently, we've also updated it with a whole lot more tested adapters. I have about like 3 giant tubs of Bluetooth adapters now sitting around. Actually, I think it might be 4. But surprisingly, there are a lot of very bad Bluetooth adapters on the market. So before you go buy one, check the high performance list, get one off of that list, and get a USB extension cable to reduce interference, because it is a night and day difference between buying kind of a random Bluetooth adapter and hoping it works versus getting one off the high performance list. I'd say 90% of the issues in the queue about Bluetooth are resolved by switching to an adapter on the high performance list. It usually goes like someone's having a problem and it's super frustrating, and then finally they break down and get one on the high performance list, and it's just, oh, everything's just fixed, it just all works now. So definitely check that out. You can find it on the documentation for the Bluetooth integration. It's near the top of the page.
I've just posted the link in the chat for
Awesome.
people who are asking about it. So there we go.
So I also have a quick demo. Let me switch to this one, different tab.
Your screen sharing is gone, huh?
Yes, I think this is the right one. Okay, hopefully it's back.
Do you have your tub of Bluetooth adapters close by? Bunker 1213 is asking.
If you look at the PRs for all the Bluetooth documentation updates, every time I update it, I post the latest tub of Bluetooth adapters as a picture in the PR. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I always look at it with full amazement. I must be honest.
So, all right, I think I've got the other demo up here. A while ago, I added the support for the Yale Access locks, which is anything that is August Cloud or the newer Yale locks. If you set up the August integration, it'll feed the key over into the Yale Access Bluetooth integration. So this one is again running that new version of the AIO ESP Home API that I've been working on. So if I hit unlock, it should be fast, or it'll blow up completely and not work, because I was working on it till late last night. So when you're working on code at night, hopefully it still works in the morning. So hopefully, yeah, there we go. So it actually is very, very fast at unlocking now. So, but there's been just a whole lot of work to drive down the latency and improve the performance of the Bluetooth stack. But part of that effort has also been in this new version, we optimized ZeroConf, which is the multicast MDNS library, and Stephen did a lot of work on the SSDP library for the UPnP stuff. So there's about, I think we reduced the number of idle tasks by 90% in this version. So that's going to translate to a pretty significant latency improvement for everything, not just Bluetooth. So you'll probably see if your Home Assistant was running on kind of a lower performing system, it'll be a little bit snappier this release. So, and once we get the new ESP Home API changes out, it's going to improve the Bluetooth latency. Well, of course, it's going to improve anything that is using ESP Home. So in testing, it was somewhere between 20 to 40% speed up in the latency.
Wow.
So, but that's next month. So you won't see it yet, but next month. But there was another change we did for Shelly Gen 2 devices. They're going to be a lot more responsive. We had a couple people open an issue about the performance of the devices when the Bluetooth scanner is running. So we optimized that quite a bit, and I think that's about almost a 50 to 55% improvement in the latency on the Shelly devices, especially when you have the Bluetooth scanner running. So, but you get that now.
Yeah,
that's in this version.
The big thing about the Shelly things that I think I saw some confusion about it. Not everybody understood that for Shelly, it only does a passive Bluetooth proxy, right? It only sends stuff to Home Assistant. We cannot actually control stuff through Shelly devices, which is a pity. But it's like, if you want to just use your existing Shelly, it's a great way to extend your range. But it's not going to allow you to control your locks or curtains.
Yeah, you'll get the passive stuff like the Gobi Bluetooth temperature sensors and the Inkbird temperature sensors, but you're not going to be able to do anything that's HomeKit or like your SwitchBot lock. I mean, you can actually, speaking of SwitchBot, in this version that was just released, we did a lot of improvements with passive scanning. Let me do a quick demo of how to turn that on. Switch to the other one.
I'm just gonna show your bucket, like one of your. I found a photo of like 2 of the big tubs of just Bluetooth adapters. Yeah. I think also, whenever Nick tests Bluetooth adapters, we want to make sure that it's not like a one-off fluke. So there's like, Nick buys multiple of each adapter just to make sure that like they all suck. If we say that once.
He knows he for sure bought a lot of those, they suck adapters, right?
I mean, look, 5 cores. You have to buy 5, right? That's just how it goes.
That's true.
Yeah,
except there's 6 there, but
definitely, it's pretty clear if it has a CSR chip in it or a Broadcom chip, it'll probably work great. My favorites are the ones with the CSR chips. They seem to not drop any advertisements, or at least minimal. The Realtek ones seem to drop about 80% of the advertisements, and the connect times are really slow. So definitely, like my favorites are the CSR chips. The Linux drivers are great.
So one question about the Shelly, I think, before we move on to this demo, Konstantin is asking, will we get full Bluetooth support for Shelly in the future?
We don't know. It's kind of up to Shelly. We'll add it if they add it, but
yeah. So the big thing here is we rely on the scripting environment that Shelly added to their next gen devices that are based on ESP32, and I'm not sure if they will expose that, because they're already getting pretty cramped from because your Shelly devices do a lot of stuff themselves, and adding like a Bluetooth proxy on top is going to be a lot. So I would say the odds that they get full Bluetooth support would be 20%. And that is it's probably lower, the odds.
So I see a question about someone's in the market for a Bluetooth 5.2 adapter. So one thing I wanted to point out about the tested adapters under Linux, the Linux drivers tend to lag behind what the vendors are offering on Windows. So you're usually better off with the Bluetooth 4 adapter. In this case, newer is not necessarily better because the drivers just are so far behind what is you get in the Windows world. So you're going to be a lot happier with a Bluetooth 4 adapter, and almost every device in the market, you only need to speak Bluetooth 4. So I would skip the 5.2 adapter and just grab one of the CSR ones on the high performance list instead.
Yeah, so I actually did the same thing. I went to like the documentation. I was looking like, oh, those are 4.2 or 4 point whatever adapters, and I'm like, maybe I should not. Like, what would be the thing I would be missing out in that case, like in between Bluetooth 4 and 5?
Extended advertisements, which nobody uses, and
Oh.
maybe better range, but realistically, the ranges are so dependent on the hardware that probably not. So you're really not. I actually don't have. I think I have one device that sends extended advertisements in Bluetooth 5, and it also sends them in. So actually, I don't have any devices that are 5 only. So you might as well just get a 4.x adapter and be happy with it.
Right. Well, things I learned today. Thank you.
I mean, just like, Matter is not going to change the world like this year. The same with Bluetooth 5, right? It will take time
Right.
to get to spread.
Yeah, as you can see, all my test ones are going to be the CSR adapters. Just way happier with them as far as performance. And so if you have Home Assistant operating system 9.4 or later, we have passive scanning support. So a lot of the integrations, it's not in the documentation, but we've added passive support to a lot of new things, including SwitchBot. So I can actually control and see I have a couple army of SwitchBots for testing. I can control them and see them, even though I only have passive integrations or passive scanning running. So of course, these are all just kind of test devices on this random Home Assistant Blue I have set up. But one of the things before, if you had gone through and manually installed a new version of BlueZ and turned on experimental to get passive scanning, you would probably have noticed that the performance of passive scanning was actually worse than the performance of active scanning because it uses a different code path. So that's been optimized in this version as well. So when you turn it on, you can expect passive scanning will probably take about a quarter of the CPU time of active scanning now, instead of 3 or 4 times as much, because previously the active scan path was optimized very well. So, but definitely, if you're considering using passive scanning, you probably need to turn on active scanning to find your device and get it discovered. And then once you do, you can turn off the active scanning and test it, make sure it still works. And you can always go back into the options flow and turn it back on to discover new devices.
So the reason why you would want passive scanning over active scanning is that the way it saves on battery, right? That's like this very short summary. And the reason for that is with passive scanning, your Bluetooth adapter will just like see what kind of packets are flying around and, forward those to Home Assistant. With active scanning, it will actually look for Bluetooth devices and ask every Bluetooth device, hey, do you have something to share? And so that, of course, wakes up every Bluetooth device and they have to send stuff. And that if that's a battery-powered device, it will run out of battery faster.
Yeah. Also, if you have like 5 or 6 active scanners, you can overwhelm the Bluetooth on your devices in the area, and there will be no transmit window open for them to actually transmit their data. So too many active scanners can, it's great if you want to extend the range of your network and have 10 ESP home devices, but probably some of them should be active and some of them should be passive, so you don't have too many things kind of screaming at your devices. Do you have data? Do you have data?
Yeah.
So.
I wonder if we can kind of like, could we manage that from Home Assistant, where we kind of say, hey, we're going to have 2 or 3 active. I guess we don't know which ones are close to each other, right? We need to.
Couldn't they figure out like signals between each other? Like the RSI values between them?
Right, like, for example, we could have like, hey, we only turn active scanning on like once an hour just to see if there's new devices.
Yeah, right. I'm almost thinking like a map, like you see sometimes with different devices, right?
Oh, like ZHA has.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, we need something with ESP Home to like kind of override the YAML configuration, so you can just kind of switch it in Home Assistant. Because right now it's a recompile to get
Right.
to switch
that's,
it.
that's
So,
true.
Okay.
but yeah, really easy to do for local adapters now. It's just the options flow, just going like I showed before, just turn it on, turn it off. Really simple. So if you have a new device that is you just want to use it, get it close to your local adapter, and because the system will actually use the adapter which has the best signal. Just if you have a new device and you have everything passive and you just have one scanner that's active, you can put the device right next to the active scanner and it will still pick it up.
Nice. Quick intermezzo. Shay is saying that the release is out. So hit those updates buttons and then switch back to this YouTube tab where you're watching.
Yeah, only Docker. The Docker images are not done yet. So if you're running container, that's not there yet.
So one thing we haven't mentioned before in this release, we also have local connection management. So if you have, most Bluetooth adapters only have either 3, 5, and some actually, some have 7 connection slots. So previously, if you ran out of connection slots with your local adapter, everything would just break because we just didn't know. We now are tracking how many Bluetooth devices you have connected to your local adapter. So if you have 5 Bluetooth devices in range and you want to connect to a 6th one, it'll go connect over one of the remote adapters, or well, of course it's always going to pick the one with the best signal, but it'll go down and pick the one with the next best signal when you run out of connection slots locally. So if you're buying more and more Bluetooth devices because Home Assistant's Bluetooth support is getting better and better, you might suddenly find yourself running out of connection slots. So now we have it. We previously had it just for the remote ESP Home adapters, but now the local adapter is also connection slot managed. So if you have lots and lots of devices, when you hit connect, it's going to find a free slot with the best signal now. So you won't have to worry about running out of slots anymore on your local adapters, or you can add a second local adapter to give yourself some more connection slots.
Nice. This will be helpful because I think that I already saw some people that are trying to like control 2 curtains at the same time, and they notice that only 1 curtain is working, and it's probably because the connection slots are running out.
Yeah,
So
I think there's like a couple people who have I think it was 9 Bluetooth thermostats in their house, and and each of them requires an active connection at all times. So that was a good test case for building that to make sure that it was able to divide up the connection slots between all the devices. So
right.
So and the best part about that is we also have kind of a high availability now. So we have kind of had the beginnings of that in previous versions, but so if Bluetooth adapters fall off or stop working, we'll immediately try a different one. So I think after the second connection failure, even if the adapter is kind of crashed or the chip is stuck, we'll move on to a different adapter to still make the connection. So should be significantly more reliable in this version if you have multiple adapters. So I think that kind of ties up all the Bluetooth improvements we kind of probably should have documented better, but we're talking about them now.
I mean, I think I feel like a lot of this Bluetooth stuff, like for people, in the end, it just works, right? That's just the important part.
That's the goal, yeah, of course.
That's the goal, yeah.
Especially if you compare to where we came from, right?
With no Bluetooth.
We had Bluetooth, but it never worked. So it just works. It's kind of like the epic goal.
I think the big thing about Bluetooth is all about like having the range, right? Being able to cover your whole house.
True.
I just highlighted this comment. How can I put the ESP Home Bluetooth to passive? As we just said, it is not an option inside Home Assistant, but you have to recompile your ESP Home device. It is a setting under the Bluetooth tracker component or Bluetooth proxy component.
Yeah, I got it backstage. There we go. So on the ESP Home, it is under the ESP32 Bluetooth Low Energy Tracker Hub, ESP32 BLE tracker. You want to change from active, which is the default, to from true to false.
That's it. Yeah.
I think one other thing I want to mention before we move on to the kind of the other items on the list. So we've been doing a lot of work on reducing latency, and not only is that going to help with your Bluetooth connect times, it's going to help with every device you have, because everything in Home Assistant is less latent. We have next month, I think we have some database improvements coming to reduce the amount of writes. So make sure you keep updating and running the latest version, because Bluetooth devices are definitely very latency prone. So we're going to keep working on it and improving the connect times. But make sure you're reflashing with the latest ESP Home. Make sure you're running the latest version, because the difference can be pretty shocking from an old version to a new version on how fast the connect times are.
And like update all the different parts, right? Update your ESP Home Bluetooth proxies, update Home Assistant, update your Home Assistant OS, because all these things are getting updates and improvements.
Yeah, and get a decent adapter from the
Yes.
high performance list too.
So I ordered Nick's favorite adapter last release party a month ago, but it's from AliExpress, so it still hasn't arrived.
During the holidays, you're wondering why, right?
Yeah. All right. So we go back to the release?
Yes, absolutely.
Boom, boom.
So
yeah.
So for the release, one of the next things that we're up to list is, ta-da, here it shows, calendars.
Man, calendars are getting a lot of love. Alan is doing an amazing job there.
Yeah, it's insane. So last release, Alan added the support for local calendar and being able to add and delete events from it. And this release, he added support for editing events. So there's now a little edit button on the events, so you can edit it. And what he also added is that you can now select different reoccurrence rules for monthly cycles. So now it is possible to create an event that repeats on every first Wednesday of the month. For example, if you want to add the Home Assistant release day to your calendar in Home Assistant, so you can actually notify it.
It's unbelievable that he added recurring events. Like, that is such a complicated, it's the spec is just like, there's so many edge cases to deal with. Like, this is kind of insane. So
yeah,
well
it's
done.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alan. Yes, no, it is. It's really nice. Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. So this is cool. Editing events, and you add one. But there's also another thing he added this release, which is not related to the local calendar, but to your cloud calendar. So if you're a user of the Google calendars and you have Google calendars in Home Assistant, you can now manage your events in your Google calendar straight from the Home Assistant user interface.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice little touch.
I wonder, it would be nice, how you can write to a Google Sheet. It would be cool if you can just edit stuff or something.
Well, there are APIs for it, right? So we're already the front end has this dialogue. I think it would be really cool, Alan. If you're listening, sorry, I don't want to but I think we talked about it in an earlier meeting with a lot of the YouTubers and stuff. But being able to create events would be cool from a service call and automation.
Are people just gonna use it to recreate a logbook?
Yeah, maybe, but maybe just for things that are really important to you. I don't know.
When the package delivery guy comes?
Yeah, for example. No, but arming the alarm or something, things of importance, true. Or when the doorbell rings, or things you want to keep track of somehow. Or I'm not sure if motion events for cameras are cool, but
when people have their diaper trackers for their newborns,
stuff like that, or when the toilet was used, I don't know, whatever. But you could make some kind of more importance logbook and have that shared. Yeah, I think that would be nice. But that's Dreamin'. That's not in this
Yeah,
release.
no, this is actually a good use case. Joost is saying you could automatically put the grocery delivery in the calendar.
Oh, that's
That is
cool.
actually a good use case.
That's super cool.
I saw the picnic integration in Brahm's dashboard the other day. It's like 500 entities. It's crazy.
But then again, the Picnic integration could just provide a calendar entity.
That's true. They should do that.
So, for example, Twente Milieu, which is what I use because, well, I live in Twente, and that's what what the company that hauls my waste every week. And that integration actually provides a calendar entity. So if I go to my instance, it's just there.
So but thinking about that, right? Should the device class date time for a sensor just become a calendar entity? Like anything that has a date time. Or is
Maybe,
that
I
like
don't know.
laundry done? I don't know.
I'm not sure how many. I actually don't know what kind of entities that would be. Like, would that be like my uptime sensor? That would be stupid. But yes, that
Uptime,
would be
yeah,
that
when,
one
like,
too.
yeah, when was your thing restarted? Yeah.
Yeah.
Computer booted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of well, you can turn
Right,
on and
yes.
off calendars, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Alan is actually in the chat. Beautiful sunglasses. We can port the existing Google Calendar service to work for all calendars. So there is a Google Service Calendar.
Oh,
Maybe we should standardize it.
yeah.
So,
Well,
Alan, you want to come in the call? I'm just gonna I mean, we're talking about like his work. It'd be cool. I don't know if he's what he's up to. But yeah, I think we should get more things to be calendar entries. That'd be cool. I was talking with Alan the other day. There's actually two types of entities you want for a calendar. One is just what is the next event on this calendar, but then there's also events where like you want to represent a specific event in your calendar, like based on a search query or something. So we try to find out like what the best way of representing it in Home Assistant is, because you cannot have both be based on config entries. But
there are
yeah.
quite a few ideas around this to extend. I think it is pretty dangerous. Like this is like you
slippery
could
stuff.
go as far as saying like maybe we should like add variables to it, which you can then read out later.
No,
again
you get
in-
this idea where like Home Assistant Home Assistant app becomes a calendar provider for your operating system, like for your Android.
Well, technically, exporting like a local calendar from Home Assistant to an iCal shouldn't be that difficult, I guess, because it's actually being stored as iCal.
It could technically work, I guess. Yeah,
So
but yeah, one little step at a time. Yeah, let's move to the next topic. Unless Alan
let's
joins,
see if
and then
Alan
we'll go
if
back to
John joins or
calendaring.
not. Yep, let's do that. Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah, wait,
hold on. Let's scroll back. Nothing to see here. Let's go.
Hello.
The master himself.
Hey. Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's great.
Yeah, calendars are fun. Yeah, I think you guys might be getting a little too crazy, but we can definitely do more. But I don't know about calendar per timestamp though.
I agree. That's an iffy one.
Well, there was today, I think, a pull request. Somebody wanted to have to-do items that have a due date as calendars items.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable, right? You could put anything. I mean, like, the RFC 4454 spec supports to-dos, and they kind of are the same thing as a calendar, really. It's just like a due date is kind of like an end date. So
Yeah.
Spec
yeah,
for the viewers. What's spec?
RFC 5545.
554. Did I say it wrong? Sorry, I've been staring at the numbers.
No, you said it
Got the
exactly
numbers
right.
backwards.
But I can see a couple of viewers now looking at it. He said what?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the thing with calendaring. They made a spec like decades ago by now, I think.
Yes.
And it was very flexible, it supports all the things. And basically, that is just what every calendar platform implements. Otherwise, you're not compatible. But it also means that you cannot implement it half If you import stuff from other places, you're gonna get any type of combination of possibility back at some point. But yeah. So Rosemary is saying we just make the calendars available via URL and then let people subscribe for their
Yes.
export.
So would that be like, your Home Assistant has a URL that exposes your calendar? And
guess
then
so.
I feel like authentication is maybe the only little tricky part there, right?
Just
Do you want
just like webhooks, we just generate like a
just make some unique
super
ID
long
for it?
URL.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
of those are always just some type of like really long URL that has, some type of token in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got an ICS file on disk, so serving that should be pretty straightforward. Yeah, I know, Frank, you were mentioning that that's something we should think about. And so, yeah, cool. I'll take a look at the webhook stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the way webhooks generate URLs, but I think it just uses the secrets module from Python.
Okay. Yeah.
But I guess the idea, we first really need a use case where you want to have this calendar. I guess you can have your grocery picnic, then you can put everything in Google Calendar.
So for me, it would be cool for my garbage pickup, for example. Like Home Assistant actually like queries the API and knows when my garbage is picked up and which one. And if I could just like hook up my calendar or my phone to it, then my phone agenda would actually know too.
So every
that would be cool.
calendar exposed as ICS calendar.
Yes.
Sure.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
But that would be amazing, right? I would be able to like, I don't know, I could like keep up my birthdays like in Home Assistant and have notifications for it and garbage collections that come in via API and do smart things with that and make it available on my other devices that is just my dumb agenda.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, we've got the library to be able to like output those. It would kind of pull, basically it would take like what local calendar does and make it like a first class citizen of Home Assistant to apply to other calendars too. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I think you could even like not expose the recurring events. You could just like the stamped out events be the ones you export.
Oh,
Is that like?
I mean, they just get really big, right? Like
I guess so. Yeah. I guess it depends on the range, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the challenge, right? Is you need to, the recurring event. So the way recurring events are implemented is you have like one event and then a way that says, okay, well, repeat so often. And so then it's nice for storage because it's nice and small, but then at read time, you're kind of looking through every event and figuring out when it is. If you do the opposite, you are now like writing a new event every entry. So it's kind of tough if you don't have that recurring pattern encoded in it. So, but yeah, those are fun ideas. So
I'm sorry, I'm not like, we do not want to put like much work on you, but you have been doing great, by the way. So that's impressive.
Yeah.
Always happy to
Thank you
geek
for
out
that.
about calendars. So yeah.
There are not many people that can say that.
I spent like before I did Home Assistant full time, I spent like a bit over a year doing like RFC 5545. So I've seen my fair share of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I saw there was some requests for CalDAV as well. So maybe that's the next thing to learn. I don't know anything about how that works, but
Isn't that just iCal on top of like put request?
I think so.
Yeah,
It looks
on
like
top
it,
of
yeah.
WebDAV.
Yeah, it's like iCal with DAV mixed in. That's what I actually use for my calendaring. So
We have an integration for that, but it's old, I believe.
Yeah, it needs a little love, but it looks pretty cool. It just needs a little bit of love. So yeah.
yeah, there's a PR to add a config flow to it that's just almost finished. So.
Oh,
Nice.
didn't even know. Cool.
It's just like stuff being worked on everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's over 1,000 PRs open in our organization. There's a lot of stuff being worked on everywhere at this point.
I miss the pull panda graphs. We used to have this app then, that we used that analyzed the repository and saw like how many PRs were open organization wide, and if we were keeping up or that we were like kind of like drowning, and that we were getting more PRs than we were able to resolve. And right. I feel like we're tracking a weekly number, and right now it's getting to 1,000. So, and it was at our best 400. I think we reached somewhere last year.
This year, last year, we were able to drop just below 500.
Yeah.
That was early last year. Yes.
Yeah.
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 Well, it's just cool to see so many things going on, and still there's a lot in here, right? So we talked about this release. Like in a general release, we have between 1,000 and 1,200 PRs, like contributions, changes going into like just core, not even front end or documentation, just like changes into Home Assistant core. And this release, even though like it's holiday season and many of us took time off, and there's just it went slower, we still had 800 changes in this cycle, which is just it's like if you think about like 1,000 open PRs, and we still process like 1,000 every month and go into a release. It's actually pretty okay, I would say. It's a month worth of work that's open right now.
Right. But we still only the second most active open source project in the world.
Yeah,
It will
we need to
take.
change that.
It will. Well, I don't think it will be doable. I have this tab here actually. This got released. I don't know if we really discussed this last. Did we discuss this last release stream? I think it was already out, maybe. But
No.
like, GitHub publishes like the most active open source projects based on like the number of contributing, and so we are number 2. Oh, whatever. Click on it with 13,500. But Visual Studio Code, which is insane, they have 20,000 people working on it. So yeah, we're not gonna like. We'll be dead if we have to like match that. But we have to be
Well,
able
if
to get ahead of. I don't know why Flutter is so popular. I don't know anyone that does Flutter.
I think it's
No, I know
pretty
one
much popular in
person because he
schools.
works on Fuchsia. That's why he knows Flutter. But yeah, I thought it was just like a Google Play project.
We could probably get higher in the list if we get enough calendar ideas.
Yeah,
No, this is impressive.
it's wild. We actually the cool thing is that we're not only here. Oh look, there's a promotion for reading, listen to a podcast with me. But
That's a while back.
yeah. No, this is we had a lot of new people join the Home Assistant last year, 3.3 thousand compared to the year before. But the one that I actually like a lot is this one, the top open source projects by first time contributor count. So 2.6 people, 2.6 thousand people did their first contribution to open source with us. Like, that's just very impressive.
I was thinking about one day making some kind of like tutorial or something on how to do your first contribution to the Home Assistant project, especially for documentation. I think that would be cool. Would people be interested in such a thing? Like, I really feel like that's like a gateway drug to like contributing in general, which is
Yeah.
actually pretty fun to do. But I guess we all in this stream
mean,
at
I
least think so.
We're planning to.
Great idea.
We're planning videos like that for the intent stuff because we're trying to get less people. We're attracting people that are not familiar with GitHub and stuff like this, and just like Code Spaces helps a lot there.
Yeah, especially now that is in place, right? We could it should be so well. It should be easier. It's not really easy for you to go into get the first time. Gave me a headache when I started out with the stuff, but yeah, at least should be easier to get going nowadays. I think that would be cool. We should be able to get higher in that list at least.
So who's doing the reviewing? That's the question. Who's doing the reviewing?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, if you contribute enough, then you could also review, right?
That's true. That's true. Right. Should we go back to the release?
Do we have more? Yes, we have one more item. Yes, and we have the other stuff too, like the other noteworthy, the other stuff, the noteworthy stuff that didn't get like their own chapter, but still important. Calendars. That's it. Thank you, Ellen, again. That was amazing stuff. Especially the repeating ones, because I can now create like an event for my Home Assistant release day. Another thing, this releases improvements to translations for entities, and this is a pretty difficult one to explain, I would say. But the gist is, we just made it better for integrations to be able to provide translations for entities, and especially on entity attributes. So, for example, this shows in this screenshot, I can show it pretty well. This is my thermostat, and my thermostat has presets, which is an attribute of a climate entity, and that can now provide translations. So you can now actually select anti-frost, or if it's in Dutch, then it will be anti-vries, for example. So you can they will now actually like be translated instead of some key or string in the UI, which was pretty darn ugly to look at. So that's just beautiful. And another thing we've added is that sensors can now provide a list of possible states they can have. So example, for text sensors like the moon, which is shown in this example, can be in different moon phases. So the moon sensor can now say to the Home Assistant, like, hey, these are the phases or the states this entity can get into, and provide translations for that too, which means that an automation editor can now provide hints to what state it can be in. So if you automate on a moon sensor, it will give you a list of possible states it can get in, which will be
This is
translated.
great for my 3D printer, because like,
Yeah.
Printers are like idle, they're printing, or they're like, heating up, or they don't have on off. They have multiple different states, and knowing those states without using the printer is pretty damn interesting.
Exactly. So for printers, it should now indeed show, if you select one of those sensor entities, it will probably show printing or paused or idle, I guess, in your case. Yep. So little thing, hard to explain, but will provide like a much more cleaner and nicer UI, which is actually how it should have been maybe in the first place.
Well,
Still
and this
great
is
it's now
actually
there.
unlocking, right? We're going to use this feature for a couple of other things in
Yeah.
the future to do more translations. Now, one of the things that we added because of voice assistants is actually that Home Assistant knows its language. It used to be that only your user profile had a language, which was tied to the front end. Now that Home Assistant knows language like that's being used, we're starting to use it in a lot of more places. So
Yeah, so for other things we're looking at, for example, if you go to a more info dialog, there's like sometimes some entities have extra attributes you can like pull down and it will show. So those names, for example, could be translated in the future, and maybe even entities themselves when used for the first time. Those are all ideas at this point. Yeah, many possibilities with this new structure, at least. But for now, it was set up to provide better UI and translation experiences for the existing things. All right. Other noteworthy stuff. We have a bunch of new device classes out there, which also provide the possibility to change the unit of measurement for those cases. So if you, for example, have a sensor that has data size, for example, a folder size or the amount of data transferred over your Wi-Fi or router or whatever, you can now change the unit of measurement Home Assistant uses or shows, and it will automatically convert it for you, which is super cool.
I think the unit conversion feature has been so nice. Like, it makes so much sense. And I'm glad we were able to make it work.
Yep. What else was in here? Oh, the configuration. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to say the Unify Protect. I think it's cool. You can change the message shown on your doorbell. Like that. That's awesome.
But you can automate on it, right? It's an entity. It's the text entity. So what you could do is actually, like, if somebody, like, besides you could say good afternoon or good morning or something based on the time of day on the doorbell and change it, you could actually act on things happen.
You could do face detection.
Maybe, yes. Or maybe you could, like, if somebody pushes the bell and say from, hey, or don't push the button and
Oh,
once they
kids
push is
speak.
like I want you or something. Like you could act on something else, right, to change the text, which is
Yeah,
kind of cool.
that's cool. I like it. I
Yeah.
like
It's by the way the first first real feature for the text entity.
it. That's good. I was afraid it was going to be abused by Jason, so this is good. This is
Yeah, right. No, this is a real feature, so that's cool.
yeah.
I think this one is important, by the way, that Eric built, is that we now have better feedback of issues with
Yes.
automations or scripts that use device automations, specifically those. Previously, if you had like a device trigger or device condition or device action and something was wrong there, it will just spit out some error message. You could not do anything with it. I actually went looking into a case where I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. So Eric rewrote parts of that, and it will now actually tell you more about what is wrong and in which automation the issue is. So that saves a lot of searching.
I like the more SwitchBot stuff. Like, are there any devices left, Nick, of SwitchBot that we haven't integrated yet?
I think the lock was the last thing we were waiting on, and yeah, that's the humidifier could probably use a couple more, robustness in the support. But I mean, all this work is done by reverse engineering the app or the protocol. So it takes a lot of time to figure out how to make it work. So
Right.
they kind of trickle out documentation sometimes, and sometimes it's spot on, and sometimes it's not so spot on. So we just keep improving it as we learn things, and people open issues with more information. But pretty much as far as we support I think all of the devices now. I think they just announced like a Matter-based SwitchBot Hub 2. So I wonder how that's gonna play in with the ecosystem.
Right. I mean, I wonder, like their Matter-based hub, it's just not going to have the range. Like you're going to have to put it very close. You're going to have multiple. I don't know how that's going to work. Yeah.
You're
So for
probably
the
better off with some proxies. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, one thing if I have time, I want to work on with SwitchBot is that get rid of the assumed state for the toggles. That should just be a button.
oh yeah, the for the press, yeah. So
Thing, yeah.
if the bot's in switch mode, a switch makes sense. But for the bots that are in press mode, yeah, we probably just want a button there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the integration like predates the existence of the button, so it's
Right.
there's always something to modernize with it.
Make it work is asking, are SwitchBots part of the Works with Home Assistant program? They're not. And it would be kind of tricky in that they would have to maintain the integration itself, right? Because it's like their own protocol on top of Bluetooth. But yeah, we actually haven't talked to them. Maybe we should reach out, see what they're up to.
All right. So I guess this is about it for the release. What else do we have? Oh, new integrations. Almost forgot about those.
Oh, so this is a nice one.
Yeah, there are a couple of nice ones in here, actually. So the first one on the list is the AirVisual Pro, which actually was an existing integration. We also have the AirVisual integration, but previously it was like a smashed version of the local and cloud version of the AirVisual and AirVisual Pro together into one integration. But now we have the brand stuff, which brand selection with multiple integrations underneath them. It was actually split out by Aaron into two integrations again, to dedicated, which is easier to maintain and makes much more sense. So if you now add AirVisual and Home Assistant, it will get a choice between AirVisual Cloud or AirVisual Pro, depending on what you have. Yeah, and that's a new integration, sort of. Yeah. If you have an existing setup, by the way, it will be migrated for you automatically. There's a breaking change for it. So, but we handle that for you in that case. Google
Assistant SDK. This is like something that people have been playing with a lot. They like it a lot. what it means is this is not Google Assistant talking to Home Assistant. This is Home Assistant talking to Google Assistant. So what this
Yeah.
does is that you link it. You have to set up like Google account linking, and then it connects into the Google Assistant ecosystem tied to your account, and Home Assistant can send text as if you would talk to your Google Home Mini, for example. So you can say, turn the light on, and then Google will turn the light on. But you can also ask for things. So like, what is the temperature? And so, yeah, just whatever you would say to a Google, you can then now write to Google. So it's a proxy into Google's world. It's not
Yep.
like an API to get everything out, because you need to still use,
So basically, you're writing the thing in text to Google, which you would normally have set to the thing,
yeah.
like in spoken words, except written down.
So it's cool, but it's also, I mean, I don't know how. I think the main use case I think people were using it for was broadcasting,
Right.
and things that do not expose to Home Assistant. So I actually pull up the documentation. So people are arming Nest, for example.
Yeah, I think the main case for broadcasting would be if you have music playing, it won't be like stopped. It will be shortly interrupted and then just continues with broadcasting, I believe, which is kind of neat, in a way, I guess. Oh,
It's used by 64 active installations right now. We launched it. It got live 30 minutes ago, so it's pretty good.
that's cool. Those were probably beta instances
Yeah.
upgraded.
Yeah.
Right. Purple Air, it's providing air quality measurements, public data, which is, I guess, cool if you're looking into that, want to have that. And then Reolink.
That's a
That's
popular one, or going to be popular one, I think.
Yeah. So for Reolink, there are already a couple of custom integrations out there. And right now, Starkiller is making an effort to like bring the best of all those worlds into like Home Assistant Core. And for this release, it focuses on mainly the camera. So this is now doing camera entities, nothing else yet. I saw some notes and stuff on progress on there for upcoming releases already. I believe you reviewed it, Nick.
Yeah, there's a couple more platforms coming. I know, I think that's kind of at least in my circles, that's kind of the second most popular, the Unify stuff being the most popular, but I know a lot of people who have those cameras. So I actually have, friends that I can borrow their system to test with for some of the upcoming platform merges.
So I see they have a doorbell. So we should be able to get like doorbell events then, right?
Yeah, I think there's a bug in the current firmware of it, but supposedly it's going to be fixed very soon. So I think that's coming. So maybe by next month.
I've seen a couple of reviews of the doorbell. I'm kind of interested in trying it out. It's always like not available. That's like they're always sold out or in pre-order or something. That's kind of interesting, especially with some other brands having privacy issues lately. It does seem like a viable option.
That's cool.
Yep.
29 active installations so far.
Yeah. Need help? Join the community. Oh, that's by the way, a thing. Home Assistant entered Mastodon.
Well, Mastodon.
Yeah. So if you're on that platform, there's now a link somewhere up on top, but we're on fastodon.org. You can find the Home Assistant account there. So if that's a network you're on, follow us, like, subscribe. I'm not sure what's called. It's Toothing. No, it's not Toothing anymore. It's not publishing or posting. We're really searching into what it all should be, I guess. Right. But yeah, we have a presence there now. Breaking changes this release. I think the biggest one is the first one. That's why I place it on top. If you're not using the default config and you're doing manual YAML, like setting up not the default home assistant configuration, but actually manually controlling those things, the image integration has been renamed from image to image upload. So this is only for people that have removed default config deliberately from their configuration, but generally you should not be affected. But if that's the case, then you have to change image to image upload.
I thought it was a dependency of the front end integration.
Yeah. Apparently not. Like some people, no,
No, I see.
Some people have put them in manually. So if somebody puts it in manually into like the default config, or remove default config and manually put them into YAML, then it would like cause
people
warning on
do
upgrade.
not remove default config. It's the default config. It's like all the good stuff, like boom, right there.
It's just done.
You're not gonna save a CPU cycle.
Nope. Well, yes, according to Nick, probably.
You're not gonna notify.
I can promise you the default config is very, very optimized.
Okay. So you can leave it there. You heard it first here. No, it's like just use the default config. Back in the day, I didn't use it either. It was specifically because of the old discovery components.
Everything is all the discovery.
But that's all. That's history. Yeah. That's gone. So it's nothing to worry about anymore.
Yeah, I see a question, Frank. I wanna like highlight.
Yeah.
Is there an update on the Home Assistant Sky Connect? Yes. Great. So the first batch of Home Assistant Sky Connect has been actually already been out and sold and is in the user's hands, or should all be in the user's hands by now. The second batch, and that is going to be a bigger batch, is and also going to be for now a later batch, like the last batch. For now, we're gonna order more, but it's gonna take like till the summer. The Sky Connects should be available end of the month. So they are done at the manufacturer, and now they have to go to the warehouse, and they have to go to the distributors, and then the distributors, they are across the world, and that's where you can order them and get them. So you should be able to get a Sky Connect by the end of the month, just like the yellow PoEs should be arriving for the initial backers end of the month, the yellow PoE kits. Just to note that the thread part of the Sky Connect is still under development. So we had made it available experimental. I think I mentioned it earlier during the stream, but that's going to be enabled hopefully in February. What Frank is showing, that is actually the Sky Connect box as you will get it. It has an extension cable, very important, because if you plug it into a Raspberry Pi 4, which has USB 3.0 USB ports, it causes interference, messes with your 2.4 gigahertz signal, which is Zigbee thread. So please use that extension cable. We put it in for a reason.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that it's delivered with the stick.
Yeah.
I think it, and I really like the packaging myself, by the way. It's just fully recyclable and has the cable, so everything you need is in there, and it's also like...
Yeah. Oh, here. So there's somebody asking, what's the Sky Connect doing? Sorry, I missed, I just jumped right. We're sorry. The Sky Connect is, we made our own Zigbee stick that can also function soon as a thread radio. So it will be able to connect, be used for Matter, it will be able to use for your Zigbee, can do so both at the same time. I'm just going to open the website. It's on the Home Assistant website, which I thought all of you all have open all the time, as do we. So yeah, it looks like this. The blue stick you already saw. There are most of these places are taking pre-orders. Yeah, expecting to ship end of January, like I just said. So we had a interest form that people had filled in June when we announced the Sky Connect, and we are definitely going to email those people this time. We forgot last time. Sorry about that. For the people asking if there's like in their country distributors. We are still like talking to different parties to get like Sky Connects based in different distributors, but I don't expect that to happen too much in this batch anymore because most has been allocated. So, yeah. Some people are like, how does it measure up to other solutions? So the big thing about Sky Connect is that it does both Zigbee and Thread at the same time. So that is like, that's something that only we can provide because it also requires software that's running inside Home Assistant. So Home Assistant has software daemons running that do the processing of the radio packets, and the stick really only forwards the radio packets. However, that is a mode the stick can run in, and it can also run as a pure Zigbee stick. And in the future, that's also how it's shipped, actually. And we're going to make it available as a pure Thread stick as well, if you just want that. Yeah, so that's the Sky Connect. So, and people are asking, do you prefer ZHA or Zigbee to MQT? For Sky Connect, I see this comment. The Sky Connect is using Silicon Labs Zigbee chip, which uses the Amber ZNet firmware. The Amber ZNet firmware is fully supported by ZHA, and for Zigbee to MQTT, it is experimental. So you might run into some issues. Somebody just, I'll continue on the hardware path just here. Update about the yellow. More of them are being shipped. So the PoE kits will definitely be arriving this month. And then more PoE kits are also being in development. And we might there might be some more yellows actually going up for sale that are, just directly up for sale with our partner Raspberry Pi DK. So that's going to be our first batch of the yellows that are being sold outside of Crowd Supply. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Here, just one other question. Tim is asking, can you import any Zigbee mappings from Combe? I have to set it up again. Frank?
So it depends a bit on where and how you use it. So if you, for example, now use Zigbee to MQTT, you can actually import your existing Zigbee to MQTT into ZHA. So that's kind of nice. So you don't need to repair. I'm not 100% sure if you can migrate from ZHA Combi to Sky Connect, to be honest.
I'm not 100% sure either. It also depends on how you use your Combi stick, because if you're using Decons as your software, you cannot migrate.
That's a no in that case.
Yeah.
I know if you have like a Texas Instruments stick right now for ZHA, then you can just migrate to the Sky Connect or to a Yellow, for example. That will just work as well. Well, you can just like export your coordinated config and import it again on the new device when you set up the radio for the first time, and that's pretty awesome actually. It's just like.
It just works.
It's almost boring to like, well, you get a new device and you want to play with it, right? And you plug it in and you migrate and then it's done, and then you're going to grab a cup of coffee, and that's the end of the playtime with your new device. So sometimes, I don't know. It's like getting a new phone these days. It will just migrate it for you, and 10 minutes later, like even the background is the same as it was before. It's nothing to explore, right?
New phones are kind of boring nowadays.
Right. It's kind of, so bringing that experience to the smart home is kind of convenient, actually. Like you don't want to repair anything, but
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, what's any new gadgets, Nick, Frank?
I already showed off the lock, but that's really I have a Gobi tea kettle sitting over here that I haven't torn apart yet, but let's see.
Is it a Bluetooth powered kettle?
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
yeah, it's on the pile to tear apart and see how it works. So
That's good. Yeah,
Well, I actually had something underneath my desk. I've been on the Twinkly train lately.
that's
So
awesome.
these are festoons, they call it, which are like party bulbs. And well, this is the same as the Christmas tree stuff from Twinkly, which can be used. So I was interested in those. These look sweet for the summer, which is the next thing. I would
Right.
say.
Are you gonna put them outside or just on your
Yeah.
desk?
No, outside. No, not on my desk. No.
I don't know what the new stuff. I got a full face blocker for my VR headset.
Well, that's does it do Zigbee or Matter or Thread?
No, no, just like
Looks like diving
only
glasses.
VR headsets without full light blockers.
Oh, and I got
I set up these contact sensors in my house. I don't know if you can recognize. This is a Wink. This is from Quirky. This is like 10-year-old like contact sensors, but they work. So I was very surprised.
this one. I opened the box for, and that's about it. So I got
Most of the stuff I set up in my house, like I open the box, I put it on the table to process. And then,
so this is a P1 meter from
Wizard.
Home Wizard.
Nice.
So I got the P1 plug and a water meter, and
For the people that are not from the Netherlands, P1 is it's a protocol, like a plug that is on every energy meter in the Netherlands to get real-time data from your energy meter, from your energy usage and your cumulative usage.
I can probably I have not opened the box.
It's actually not just the Netherlands. I think it's in Sweden. There's a bunch of other European countries that are using it. Oh, nice.
So this is it. It's pretty small. I just opened the box. I'm seeing it for the first time now, by the way. So, but yeah, this is like a RG45 plug, or not 45, RG11, I believe, or 12. I'm not sure if I'm wrong. Sorry, but you can just plug it into our energy meter, and it will draw energy from the meter itself, and it will work. These are similar to what Marcel Zuidwijk is selling for ESP Home.
Yeah,
but this is a commercial product from Home Wizard.
Yeah, and these also work fully local. You can actually turn off the cloud API now.
Yeah.
New feature. I'm not sure if that was merged this release or.
Yes, it's in this release. Yeah, that's already in. They are working really hard on the integration, by the way, which is kind of nice. They do that themselves, or somebody at.
I was asking what I'm using for my Quirky sensors. This is just ZHA. It's just a Zigbee. It's just a small Zigbee chip in the inside. I have two actually. So I always write down the battery. That's
What?
Oh, I recently got these as well. These are the Bond Sidekick. So you can replace your Somfy like keypads with these guys, and they'll talk to your Bond hub. So you always know the state of your blinds. So since they're only one-way communication, like this one. So it just looks like, open it up. But it's just a keypad to replace your
for every. Is this for every blind one button?
Yeah, every blind has a button, and it will the state gets reflected in Home Assistant when you open and close the blind from the wall control. Cool. So I have all these older Somfy blinds that I would never know what state they'd in. Were they up? Were they down? You'd never know. So now I only have these controlling it and Home Assistant controlling it. So now I always know if somebody manually goes to the wall panel and puts them up and down. So this is, I guess the question is, this is Bond makes this. Let's see if I can put there you go. Yeah.
It's just interesting that there's like companies making products just to work around like the limitations of other products, right?
Like Home Assistant.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Provide a bit more value than just keeping track of the state.
Yeah, I really like the Bond hub because it's all local and has a push API. So and the Home Assistant integration is top notch. So it just works and it's very stable. So and it's their Bond Pro hub is Ethernet connected because I don't like to buy anything that's Wi-Fi. So.
That is awesome. Yeah, we need more. We need more Ethernet-based devices.
Why? Yeah, maybe for like for us, that for
I
me,
feel like
that's
anything that is like just not moving in your house should
yeah,
just
should be.
be Ethernet.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously have the option for Wi-Fi too, but I would prefer anything that can make Ethernet. It's just gonna be more reliable. You're
No,
never
sure.
gonna have.
I will definitely use Ethernet when possible, right? But it's like in Europe, like drywalling is not a thing, right? We
No.
have brick walls, so it's not like I can run a cable somewhere easily.
But you could do a power line over Ethernet. That's still more reliable than Wi-Fi.
No, please. I've had my fair share of power lines. Maybe it's better nowadays. I don't know.
It's a lot better. It used to be really horrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's the experience that stick with me. It's horrible.
Yeah, no, it's much better. You can do over coax too. That works too. So.
Yeah, your old TV lines.
Yeah,
I
my mother's
I pulled
house was
those out.
all Mocha and converted back to Ethernet, which works. It works phenomenally well. So it's so much more reliable than Wi-Fi. So
we have like a tubing through our house, through the walls for the cables and such. So that's kind of nice if there's a place where you need to run like Ethernet, then you could replace the existing cable. But most of them it's used for power. But some of those were used for coax, indeed. But yeah, for TV. But I've pulled all those out and replaced those with the Ethernet. So that's how I run like Ethernet, like internet to my TVs.
Yeah, the coax is way better than the power line stuff still. I mean, the power line stuff works now, but if you have a coax option, definitely would go with that over the power line stuff.
Hey Frank,
All right.
somebody just asked they want to see your water meter,
My water meter.
your Home Wizard water meter. I think you
This thing?
I think it just
still.
it just checks like a piece of metal that rotates, right?
Yes. So the water meter has like a little dial that rotates, and there's like a little magnet on it. So you could use a proximity sensor. Those sell for like $5 or $6 on different sites, which you could hook up to ESP Home and just count the number of rotations. And each rotation is a liter. And meanwhile, I'm trying to
I
take
always
apart
love
this one.
to learn how simple these things actually are, right? Like we think so much of it because it's a meter, but it just counts rotations.
Yeah, so it actually does. So this is the water meter, and yeah, this is just a proximity sensor. I think, yeah, it must be. It's like close. So this is a proximity sensor as well. It just counts the number of rotations. So you put this at top of the dial, I guess. I have not seen the instructions. I'm opening the box for the first time now. I had to like break the seal, so I have no clue.
Live
But this
here at Home
a
Assistant.
live unboxing. That's a thing, right? No, but you put it on top of the dial. That's how my existing one works too. And the dial rotates, and every rotation gets registered and is 1 liter. And that's how simple it is, indeed. And this one runs on 2 batteries, as it seems.
Yeah, Jan is saying it comes with a bracket that fits on most water meters. Wait, if it runs on batteries, how does it take data? Is it Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Zigbee?
I have no clue. 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, there are these new chips that they're using, like Silicon Labs was putting them out with the extreme low battery usage they claim. But I had that one I had a motion sensor from Shelly that had like those new Silicon Labs chips, and they said a year on Wi-Fi, and then the battery pack that was in it was like 5,000 milliamps or something. It was like huge. It's like, no. Not
Oh,
good.
there's indeed a little bracket here. It's transparent, so that fits, I guess. So
There you go.
There we go. I can make this work.
We'll learn more about it next week.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to see. I'm interested. I currently do have a water meter though, so which is ESP Home based, which I kind of like. But this looks good in general. I'm interested to find out how it works, especially the local part. That's the part that draws me. It is local. So not sure if I could recommend yet, but we'll learn.
Oh yeah, battery updates once every 15 minutes.
Well, that's okay for water, I would say, in general.
Yeah.
Unless you want to automate on the fact how much water you're using instantly or something, like flow rate or something.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I don't think I have any new gadgets. I got a new book. I got the Open Circuits book that like looks into all the electronic components and like shows how it works, and they slice it open. It's actually really cool. It's I mean. Welcome to this installment of the Home Assistant Book Club.
it's like Oprah, but different.
I bought a book. Now, let me just find like an example that is like kind of cool. So they literally like slice open like the small components that are usually on PCBs and then explain how it works. And like it looks always like magic, right? When you have this plastic and then well, in it they're just like very tiny wires or like rotated carbon discs or something. It's really cool.
That's cool. Oh, Paulson is
Was
writing here.
Home Assistant Book Club.
It was a quick summary.
Yeah, the viewer count just like drops.
This is a good thing, by the way. My water meter is digital. There's a little project you can run on an ESP32, I believe, with a ESP232 cam chip. You can put above some of the readers, and we'll try to like read out the numbers based on the camera, which is kind of interesting. I've seen a project for that. It's linked somewhere in the Home Assistant.
We have a 7 segments. It's called the 7 segments OCR integration.
That's the one.
So I think
Yeah, I believe there's one that runs on devices now.
That'll be better. Yeah.
So even those you can integrate now. That's cool.
Integrate all the things. Okay.
That's the goal.
I think that's it for today, right?
Yeah.
Make sure you update your Home Assistant. Whenever a Home Assistant OS update comes, also please update because Bluetooth will be faster. Update all your Bluetooth proxies, please. Will be great.
Yeah, don't forget to flash them with a serial cable.
Yeah, one time. One time.
Just this one time.
Yeah. Well, actually, the one time since the last release, right? So I guess if you've done it since the 14th of December by cable, you're good.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And also like and subscribe this video, or like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Mastodon. Toot at us.
Toot at us. Oh, this is going to get some time to get used to.
Yeah. And then we'll see you next month. And then we expect to have like a voice stream probably just before the next release. We're going to see how things kind of tie up together, where we'll have hopefully our first demos that we can show. So that'll be cool. And then once again, Sky Connect will be, the second batch will be at distributors end of this month. So if you want one, this should be your opportunity, or else you probably have to wait 6 months. All right. Ciao.
Bye-bye.